After Klein wrote down his impression of Tingen, he briefly mentioned that he had completed the ritual to become a Sequence 1 attendant of mysteries, as well as resolve one of his longtime traumas, the leader of the secret order, Zaratul. He didn't describe his predicament in detail, only seriously discussing the mental problems that Angel suffered. Putting away the fountain pen and folding the paper, Klein reached out to take out Azik's copper whistle from Saphira Castle and blew at it. Inside the cheap coffee shop, white bones spewed out like fountains, forming a huge messenger. The messenger then shrank his body, becoming only the height of a normal person. At the same time, it knelt down on one knee and stretched out its palm. "There's no need to be afraid of me." Upon seeing this, Klein laughed. "It's not like I would do anything to you." As he spoke, he picked up the letter and placed it in the skeleton messenger's hand. The messenger nodded heavily a few times. It was unknown what it was agreeing with. Then, its body disintegrated, turning into bones that drilled into the ground. At this moment, the boss brought coffee, oatmeal bread, and mutton stewed with peas. As Klein enjoyed breakfast that wasn't too delicious but was filled with a bourgeois style, he looked out the window and enjoyed the morning scenery without any reason. He admired the pedestrians, carriages, trees, mist, food, and machinery that made up the scene. If there was no apocalypse, it's best to be a Sequence 7 Beyonder to maintain the life in Tingen and live rather leisurely while being capable of handling most cases. When prepared, a magician, who has many tricks up his sleeve, won't appear too weak when facing Sequence 6 and Sequence 5 Beyonders. As for Faceless and Marionettist, one can easily get lost while acting. It's relatively easy to lose control when one advances, making it rather dangerous. Of course, if one has a sealed creeping hunger, it would be perfect. Klein casually thought as he recalled creeping hunger, which had landed in Eamon's hands. He didn't know how Eamon would treat this sealed artifact, but he only felt that an item of this level was of no value to an Angel of Time. After playing for a while, he would probably throw it into a secret warehouse in the darkness. I wonder if there's a chance to retrieve it. Just as this thought flashed through Klein's mind, he suddenly felt a little guilty. This was because even if he could snatch creeping hunger back from Amon's hands, he would throw it into the junk pile, making it wait to be bestowed to the blessed or believers that needed it. This was no different from being in Amon's hands. Klein quickly diverted his attention. "I lost the mirror again. Adam shouldn't be interested in a mirror at the saint level. Perhaps I can get it back." No, Erodi seems to have been spewed out from the Chaos Sea. In certain matters, it's possible that it can be a medium. Sigh, I only hope that Adam doesn't damage it, and that I have the time to retrieve it. After becoming an attendant of mysteries and gaining a deeper control of Saphira Castle, Klein already possessed a certain level of authority in the concealment domain. Whenever he was thinking about important matters, there would always be a thin shadow around him that no one else could see. This was equivalent to the embryonic form of a divine kingdom, the realm of mysteries. Therefore, he dared to directly think of Adam's name. After sighing, Klein suddenly recalled something and hurriedly got the Worms of Spirit on duty in Saphira Castle to graft a certain area in the spirit world he fixed when he advanced over. Immediately after, he finished the leftover mutton and the last bit of oatmeal bread that he dipped into the soup. He finished the coffee beside him. After putting on his hat and standing up, Klein took a step forward and entered the spirit world that corresponded to Utopia. Then he removed the grafting and returned to the ruins of Utopia. This was to use the abilities of grafting and his ability to freely enter the spirit world to indirectly achieve a teleportation effect. Of course, the prerequisite was that he could locate the corresponding region in the spirit world. On this point, as the owner of Saphira Castle, Klein had a unique advantage. As for Zaratul and the other attendants of mysteries, they could only rely on their preparations. As soon as he stepped into the ruins of Utopia, Klein surveyed the area and discovered that the collapsed houses and charred corpses were shimmering with different colors. They were the Beyonder characteristics inside the monster marionettes, the wealth accumulated by Klein back in the forsaken land of the gods. This might be useless to him, but he still had many believers and blessed that would gradually increase in numbers. As a deity, he had to stock up some Beyonder characteristics in order to bestow them. Thankfully, the Lord of Storms didn't take the opportunity to sweep them away. As Klein silently muttered to himself, he couldn't help but thank Leodero, Eastchester County, inside the Hall family manor. After the sun finally rose, the suffering people returned to their rooms one after another to make up for their lack of sleep. Only Alfred, Earl Hall's personal bodyguards, the deacons and Nighthawks sent by the Church of Evernight to investigate the reason behind the incident last night remained. As Audrey used the golden retriever, Susie, to monitor the development of the situation, she opened her bedroom door and walked in. Through the curtains and the weak sunlight in the room, a figure sat quietly on a high stool like a large doll. It was a huge snow-white rabbit. Audrey's brows twitched as she whispered, "Mr. Wrath." This was Mr. Wrath from the Psychology Alchemists that had pursued the mind dragon, Aerihog. It was suspected to be one of Hermes' identities. As she spoke, Audrey reached out her hand and closed the door. And with this action, the back of her hand flashed with a starlight crimson tattoo. "I'm sorry. I made use of you." When the door closed, the giant white rabbit took the initiative to say, "However, I might have been used by someone else as well." Audrey thought of the opening of the doors and windows in the middle of the night and took 2 steps forward. She replied and thought, "There's no need to apologize. Just don't disturb me in the future." She was tactfully expressing that she wanted to leave the Psychology Alchemists, hoping that no one would come looking for her again. The huge white rabbit stared at her with its bright red eyes for a few seconds and said, "Your previous wish was to protect your parents and family, but don't you think that you've been embroiled in too much trouble? The danger that you've brought them is greater than the help you provide?" Audrey fell silent. She didn't speak for a long time. Normally speaking, a saint can indeed allow the family to gain more safety, but the premise is that they do not involve themselves in the struggle between angels or deities. Or perhaps they are part of a powerful organization that can be relied on in the true sense of the word. Upon saying this, the huge white rabbit slowly said, "I have 2 gifts to express my apology." "You can choose one too?" Audrey asked in a low voice. The giant white rabbit nodded, its ears constantly wiggling. "One is to truly become Miss Pride of the Psychology Alchemists. We can ignore all your other secrets and tacitly allow your other operations, as long as you don't reveal our matters and bring danger to the Psychology Alchemists. Of course, there will be a certain disadvantage. You will shoulder the burden of certain matters and might be embroiled in quite a bit of trouble. The only difference is that you will receive a lot of help and be rescued in time." "What about the second one?" Audrey had no intention of getting compensation from the Psychology Alchemists. To not have the secret organization disturb her again was the best form of apology. Furthermore, she suspected that Mr. Wrath's true intention behind his apology was just another form of exploitation. The huge white rabbit answered calmly, "I can help you divide another identity for you so that she can stay by your family and provide them with some protection and emotional comfort. As for you, you will stay away from them and live on in this world with another identity. This way, your troubles will not affect the people you want to protect. In the supernatural world, under certain circumstances, distancing yourself is the best form of love and protection." Audrey fell silent once again as her green eyes seemed like a still lake. "You don't need to answer me at once. Or you can combine the 2 methods." The giant white rabbit got off the high stool and stood up. "You know how to get into the Garden of Eden." As it spoke, its figure gradually disappeared into the sea of collective subconscious. Biam, in a room in the Church of the Sea God, the Oracle, Danitz, dressed in a gorgeous robe, sat on a chair, silently looking at Alger Wilson. The sleepiness from waking up in the middle of the night was gone from the fright. The cardinal of the Church of Storms actually wanted to defect to the Church of the Sea God. This was a huge matter in the field of religion, in the world of mysticism and international politics. Even though he only had a rough understanding of the Church of Storms, Danitz believed that with their style in handling matters, they definitely wouldn't let this matter go. Perhaps a calamity was already on its way to the entire Rorstead archipelago to destroy it. Furthermore, a cardinal is definitely highly valued by the Lord of Storms. Alger's betrayal might attract a god's punishment at any time. The more Danitz thought about it, the more he trembled, afraid that he would be affected. This made him recall a saying from his hometown. Don't be near people abandoned by the gods. This was because those guys might get implicated when lightning smote down. If not for the fact that Gehrman Sparrow had sent me a message in the name of being Mr. Fool's attendant to help me settle Alger Wilson in, I would have already tied up this ticking bomb and sent him back to the Church of the Lord of Storms. The more afraid Danitz was, the more he couldn't help but mutter inwardly. Of course, he was just letting his thoughts run wild. He didn't even consider their difference in strength. After a while, someone knocked on his door. Danitz jumped up and quickly walked to the door, opening a crack. "Any results?" he asked in a low voice. The intel supervisor of the Church of the Sea God said simply, "Lord Oracle, the Church of Storms has switched cardinals." "What about the original one?" Danitz pressed in surprise. "It said that he was transferred back to their headquarters." The intel supervisor recounted what he learned from some of the servants at the Cathedral of Waves. Transferred back to their headquarters. As Danitz was confused, a grayish-white fog suddenly appeared in front of him. He heard Mr. Fool's words. "From this day forth, Alger shall wear a mask and become the pontiff of the Church of the Sea God."